Hey everybody, welcome back to The Huddle, the Review.com's weekly sports show. I'm Executive Editor Rob Todor of the Alliance Review. It's Thanksgiving week and we're joined as always by our favorite football turkey, Mike Brown.
Gobble, gobble.
Hey, Western Reserve Blue Devils keep rolling along. They're 2 wins away from a state championship. Mount Union Purple Raiders rolling along as well. They opened the playoffs with a victory as well. Mike, let's talk about the Blue Devils first of all. Very impressive performance last weekend against Norwalk St. Paul.
It sure was, Rob. I mean, you figure this is a team that put them out, beat them 45-0 2 years ago. And Western Reserve turns it around. They hold Norwalk St. Paul to 2 first downs. They hold them to minus 13 yards rushing. I mean, this is a tradition-rich running football school. And Western Reserve just shut them down. And on the flip side of that, Western Reserve rushes for 253 yards, has really good balance. About 4 backs, I think, all had some pretty decent yardage in that game.
Defense obviously wins championships, and Western Reserve has really been coming on in the postseason with that defensive
They
performance.
sure have. Andy Hake has just done a great job with it. He holds the kids accountable, and the kids love that. I mean, they really buy into what he's about, and when you get that this day and age, that's something special. And they really have something special going on out in Berlin Center.
Yeah, they sure do. Now, this week they take on Gloucester Trimble on Saturday night down in St. Clairsville, and Gloucester Trimble, relative newcomer to the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where I read where they haven't been in the playoffs, Rob, but I don't remember them being in the playoffs. I think it's because they're from Athens County. They're so far away from us that we don't see a lot of their results all the time, but I guess they have a very good tradition, too. And, really, the game is a little bit closer for them, so I would think that's going to be a game that could go either way.
Yeah, now that game, of course, is going to be on turf. I mean, what do you think the key for Westford? Just keep playing, just keep doing what they've been doing?
I think so. I think if they can bring that defense like they did last week, I mean, you hold somebody to minus 12 yards rushing, that's amazing in the playoffs. I mean, especially this deep in the playoffs.
Yeah. Now, probably waiting, Delphus St. John's and Marion Stein, Marion local play in the other semifinal. And I'm sure there's probably some people around the state that are looking at that as the state championship game a week early.
Yeah, Maria Stein, Marion local, I mean, they've been there so many times. That's a big fish, but I guess that's still a week away. But, for Western Reserve, I think they've got an opportunity to get another win this week and get somewhere where they've never been before, get to the state title game, and hey, you get there, you take your chances.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, the Mount Union Purple Raiders opened the playoffs with a victory last week. They defeated Washington and Jefferson 34-20. It wasn't a vintage Mount Union playoff performance, but they got the job done. Never really in any danger, I don't think, of giving up the lead in that game. But W&J hung around, and for somebody looking for something to be negative about, I guess, is they gave up 20 points. But W&J is a pretty good program.
Yes, they are.
And but again, just great quarterback play for Mount Union and defense when they needed it.
Yeah, Kevin Burke threw for 198 yards. Big game for Sherman Wilkinson. Set some records, had 3 touchdown receptions in that game. And I think as the game went on, the weather turned, got snowy, and I think kind of changed the game plan where Mount was rolling early, and I think they kind of pulled it back. You want to play it safe when it's snowing. Yeah. And they got the win. They moved on. You survive and advance in the playoffs.
Yeah. Now this week, an old rival, an old foe, a familiar foe for the Purple Raiders, the Wittenberg Tigers, champions of the North Coast Conference.
Right. And Rob, you were telling me earlier their only loss was to a team from Division II, I believe. Is that not right?
Yeah, Butler.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it sounds like they've got it rolling. When you think of Wittenberg football, you think of that great tradition. Even back when they were in the OAC with Dave Maurer, the legendary football coach, and you think of all the tradition of Wittenberg football, and it's coming to here this weekend. So that should be a good battle.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been almost 30 years since Wittenberg's defeated Mount Union. Yeah. So, well, it should be a great weekend. Hopefully the weather gets better. It's going to be in the high 30s in both sites. We probably should talk a little bit about that game in Ann Arbor on Saturday as well. The Buckeyes going for a 12-0 season, and they've already clinched a spot in the Big Ten championship game. Are you surprised, Mike, a little bit by how much Michigan has regressed just from the start of the season?
I really am, Rob, because I don't think it's Michigan football how I think of it through the years. I don't know if they have that true big-time tailback. I realize they have a tailback who's pretty good in Toussaint. But when I think of Michigan football, they always have those great offensive lines and that great running game, and that's kind of been absent this year, and I think that's really hurt them. And I think that's too good a program, and especially in a game like this when it looks so obvious that it's going to go one way, or Ohio State's at, what, a 14-point favorite, and the game's in Ann Arbor, and those kind of games worry me because it looks so obvious, and when it looks so obvious, sometimes it goes the other way. That's not to say I think Ohio State's going to lose. I think they'll win. But I think, at least for a while, that's going to be a lot better game than people think.
Yeah, this is the type of game Michigan's going to put their whole season on to win that game and upset the Buckeyes and knock them out of the BCS. And I'm so scared of this game as an Ohio State fan because I think back to all those teams that John Cooper had in the 90s that went up there or played Michigan with an undefeated season on the line and couldn't get it done.
Right.
The 69 team that was seemingly invincible that went up there in Bo Schembechler's first year. So there's been a tradition of Michigan stepping up to the plate and defeating the Buckeyes.
Right.
So, but it should be, I think it's going to be a closer game.
I do too.
If I was a betting man, I would definitely take Michigan in the 14 points.
Yeah, that's a lot of points.
Yeah, that's a lot of points in that rivalry. So, of course, Alabama's giving 10 to Auburn.
I was surprised by that too, and I don't see
well.
that one going that way either. I think that's going to be a great game as well.
Now, just a reminder to everybody watching is what we're talking about is the point differential that the bettors use. That's for entertainment purposes only. We certainly don't recommend that you go out and spend any money on betting. So, some good games this weekend. If the weather turns nice, we'll see you at the stadium on Saturday.